Today's Cowboys Report is presented by Magic Spoon. Healthy cereal that actually tastes good even though there's no sugar in it. Get $5 off your first order at magicspoon.com/Cowboys, and we'll tell you more about them later on in today's show as well. We've got some rumors to get into to get things going here. Starting with one, Trysten Hill. Is there a possibility that the former second-round pick ends up getting cut this year? I'm going to give this one 2 stars. I'd say probably there is at least the possibility of it. Whether he gets cut, that's too early to decide, hence the 2 stars right now. But the Dallas Morning News did recently put out their way too early, second version, 53-man roster projections. And Hill was not a part of it. He was cut in those roster projections. And on one hand, it makes some sense. He is in his 3rd defensive coordinator and defensive line coach in as many seasons. That's kind of an issue if you're the Cowboys and Trysten Hill. He flashed last year, but he's coming off a torn ACL. So this was the Dallas Morning News' defensive line projection roster. Now, no injuries, so everyone's healthy in theory, right? They went heavy at defensive end, John Owning did. DeMarcus Lawrence, Terrell Basham, Bradley Anae, Randy Gregory, Dorrance Armstrong, and Chauncey Golston all made the team. Then they went lighter at defensive tackle. Only 4 guys: Neville Gallimore, Brent Urban, Quentin Bahana, and Osa Odigizua. Now, there are several roster locks on this team: Basham, Golston, Lawrence, Gallimore, Urban, Odigizua, and Gregory. In reality, depending on how heavy the Cowboys want to go on the defensive line, I think you've got 5 core guys competing for 2, maybe 3 spots. I could see 4. That's probably pushing it a little bit too much. On the interior of the defensive line, Trysten Hill, Quentin Bahana, Carlos Watkins. I doubt all 3 make the team. Maybe 2 of them. Bradley Anae, Dorrance Armstrong. 2 could make it. That's what happened in John Owning's projections, but maybe it's only 1. Which means there's some competition there. If you carry 3 defensive tackles, you're carrying 2 at most, or one of those edgers at most there, right? There's a numbers game. You can only carry so many guys in the end. And Hill has shown promise. He was better in 2020. Of course, if we're being honest here, there was nowhere to go but up. 5 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and a meager 121 snaps. If healthy, I think the Cowboys would love it if Trysten Hill could be the number 2 or above that defensive tackle. The ordering here, guys, doesn't really matter. It's too early. Hill's coming off his injury. Neville Gallimore has a role in maybe a 3 technique. Brent Urban has a role as a run stopper. Osa Odigizua is going to make this team. Quentin Bahana is the one true fatty on the roster, but doesn't mean he's guaranteed to make it. Carlos Watkins was signed, but little guaranteed money. I don't think Justin Hamilton makes it, but who knows? Maybe the team loves him, or Austin Folliu, the UDFA out of Oregon. There is a roster battle coming at defensive tackle. So make your predictions for me. In fact, this question is the pinned comment on today's video. Will Trysten Hill end up making the 53-man roster? Type in 1 for yes or 0 for no. If you get the ad break, get your votes in right now. Let's talk trade now. How about going out and adding Nick Foles? There is some semblance of rationality here. I'm only going to give it the 1 star for reasons we'll get into here in a little bit. On one hand, it does make some sense, right? The Bears don't need Nick Foles, so it's fitting that the Cowboys were mentioned as a potential destination given the lack of proven quarterback depth behind Dak Prescott. Bears are going to try to find a trade partner for Nick Foles, but that's always easier said than done. And on one hand, the Cowboys do make some sense. Yes, Dak Prescott's good to go, not a concern there, but the depth is not good behind Dak Prescott. Garrett Gilbert played a little bit, but it's a very limited sample size. Do you trust him? Maybe, maybe not. Cooper Rush is not the answer, unless trying to say wrong answers only type of game. Ben DiNucci, 7th-round pick, started a game last year as a rookie, and it was a bad situation, but he wasn't good. Like that was the reality for the Cowboys' backup quarterback room, especially with Dalton gone. Gilbert showed a little bit, but in one game, they still lost, and he's a backup, okay. Maybe you trust him, maybe you don't. Now, one of the sports sites out there, Sports Not, put together this list of destinations for Nick Foles. The Jets, Make a ton of sense. By the way, they got no depth behind Zach Wilson. Tennessee Titans, if they want to spend some money, sure. And the Dallas Cowboys were their third team. There's two big reasons why I'm not sold on Nick Foles, which we'll get to here in a second. But first, folks, get $5 off your Magic Spoon order today. MagicSpoon.com/Cowboys. I cut out cereal and breakfast because the healthy stuff tasted bad, and the tasty stuff was not healthy for you. Then I came across Magic Spoon. It's incredibly high in protein, 13 grams in each serving there. It's fantastic there. And 14, by the way, in the peanut butter version, my preferred one. Low carb, 4 net grams of carbs per bowl. It's fantastic. And it actually tastes like the breakfast cereal that we grew up with. It's tasty, it's delicious, and it's actually good for you. So get $5 off your order at magicspoon.com/Cowboys. I will put a clickable link for you guys in the comment section and in the description to make your lives a little bit easier. All right, back to Nick Foles now, where we saw him play for the Bears last year. They traded for him, redid his deal, which is important. Stay tuned. He was not good. I know the Bears won some games early on. Mitchell Trubisky outplayed Nick Foles. That's why the Bears went back to Trubisky, because Foles was not good. And outside of the Super Bowl run and the 1 year, which was the greatest year in quarterback history for Nick Foles, still makes no sense to me. Since 2014, over a 47-game sample size, Nick Foles has been nothing special. Is he a backup caliber quarterback? Yes. Is he a guy you want starting games for you? Not really. And that interjects to the problem for the Cowboys. Is he really that much better than Garrett Gilbert? The stats say not really. That's kind of a big deal for the Cowboys overall, is that the production hasn't been all that different between Garrett Gilbert and between Nick Foles. The QBR was 64.1. That's better than what Nick Foles was last year. And then there's this very, very important piece. It's the contract. Now, Nick Foles is a $4 million base salary this year. That's not too bad. That's actually pretty good. That's cheap. That is affordable enough for the Cowboys. $4 million base salary next year. But there's also this. Nick Foles has a $4 million guaranteed roster bonus in 2021. If the Cowboys were to trade for him, they could not get out of it. So they would be paying either Nick Foles $4 million this year and $8 million next year thereabouts, or $8 million for 1 year. That is a problem. That is not a contract Catboy wants to bring on. So get your votes in. Do you want to trade for Nick Foles? Type in Y for yes, or you can type in N for no. Get your votes in for me in the comments section. If there is a trade, and as the roster moves trickle in this preseason, we're going to let you guys know. Hit that big red button and subscribe. Get us to 100,000. We've kind of flatlined here in a little bit, so hit that big red button and subscribe. It's youtube.com/CowboysTV. And by the way, make sure those notifications are turned on. That way, you won't miss any video that we do for you guys here at the Dallas Cowboys Report. Well, stick offense here to wrap things up. Is a Dalton Schultz breakout year coming? I'll give this 2 stars. On one hand, is he going to be tight end 1? I'm not sure. Also, did the breakout year already happen? Maybe. Look, Schultz rallied in a very impressive fashion late last year, or I should say, after a rough start to last year. Most of the year, he was really good. And very, very quietly, Schultz put up strong and impressive numbers. Now, what I don't know is going to happen is who's tight end 1, or is it tight end 1A, 1B with Dalton Schultz and Blake Jarwin? There's going to be a competition there, and the Cowboys might roll with both of them for at least the short term as Jarwin recovers from his injury. Last year, Dalton Schultz was a nice find. 63 grabs, 615 yards, 4 scores. He's not like a super dynamic Kyle Pitts, even Evan Ingram when he's on type of player. But he can help you out. He can be at minimum a great tight end too for you. So the Jarwin-Schultz battle is a fascinating one. Plus, there's Jeremy Sprinkle, Sean McCune, Nick Eubanks, Artavius Lynn, and I guess Nick Rolston as the fullback, since McCarthy likes to group those 2 positions together. It was a very clear-cut top 2 when it comes to tight end for for the Cowboys. So pick one. Type in DS for Dalton Schultz or type in BJ. Yes, you guys can type in BJ for Blake Jarwin. Who do you think will end up being the lead tight end? Get your votes in for me right now in the comments section. Schultz and Jarwin offer some, at times, complementary skill sets. Schultz has had more proven production because he was healthy last year. Well, Jarwin, of course, missed the entire year with a torn ACL. I think Schultz is a slightly better blocker as well. I thought he's come along nicely in that area. Jarwin does offer more big plays. More touchdowns on fewer yards, a higher average, or on fewer catches, and 6 touchdowns, more big plays. Jarwin offers you the ability to stretch the seam a little bit more. So because of that, I think that the favorite right now is Blake Jarwin. That's not to say it couldn't end up being Dalton Schultz, but that is a battle that will not be settled until camp and, frankly, pretty deep into the preseason.